Hey, everybody. Welcome to our charming Artemis virtual launch event. We are live streaming to Facebook. Hopefully, after the day we've had today, it can be anyone's guess whether or not it will actually work. And we are also live streaming to YouTube. So if you are here and if you're seeing this, drop in a comment about which platform you are accessing this from so that I know if it's working in both places. So fingers crossed. All right, we have a lot of fun things planned for tonight. We're going to be celebrating because I feel like this book and these series are worth celebrating, right? It's been years and years and years that these have been building on each other and this series has been coming out. All right, so far I'm seeing someone's tuned in on YouTube, so we know it's working on YouTube. Hopefully it's also working on Facebook. Thus far, I'm not seeing anyone say that it is. I'm gonna call out to the other room and ask my tech support, i.e. Paul, to check and see if it's streaming to Facebook. If it's not, what we may end up having to do is postpone so that people on Facebook can watch too. So we're going to sit here and wait and see if it's working. As I'm sure most people know, Facebook and Instagram are both down for about 6 hours today. And while they are up, I've noticed from the back end, the like business tools and some of the connectivity tools that they have aren't up yet. So it's possible that this also isn't working on Facebook. So we're gonna see. Like I said, if it's not showing up, we may end up just postponing, but maybe we'll hang out here for just a little while on YouTube just to make sure people get the message. Let's see. So far, we're not seeing much. I'm going to see if I can pull it up too. How's that for exciting things to watch, right? Okay, here we go. I'm going to see if it's coming. Okay, I'm seeing the feed, but you know what I'm not getting? The comments. That's what's happening. I'm not seeing the comments. Okay, so what we're gonna do is pull up a phone and put it over here where I can see it. I actually have a tripod in my backpack. I bet everyone on Facebook has been like, we're here, don't cancel the feed. Okay, so I'm just not getting the comments over here on my feed. So we're going to pop it up over here. So now that I know you guys are there, I know that you're watching, and Paul's going to set up a means for me to see your comments on Facebook. I'm going to jump right in about what we are celebrating tonight. We are celebrating this book, which made its debut today. Now, I know there's been some issues with it not being available everywhere it's supposed to be, but it is coming, I promise. I have been on a lot of message chats trying to figure out where things are and what the situation is. But this is out in the world today. It should start showing up everywhere it's supposed to in the next little while. So, Charming Artemis, it is the concluding chapter in these stories back here. So, so someone is commenting on here that Amazon is telling them that their pre-ordered copy won't come till the end of November. That's not accurate. I promise it's not. They have computer algorithms that try to estimate an arrival date, and sometimes they're way off. They're way off right now. I promise it's not going to take that long. So this is what we're celebrating tonight. Now, as I said, I know there are people who haven't gotten their copies yet. So tonight's virtual launch event is going to be spoiler free. I promise you, nothing that we're doing tonight or talking about tonight is going to give anything away. There's some things you already know about the book, what it's called, who's in it, that it's the last chapter in these family sagas, but I'm not going to give you any details that are going to spoil anything. So feel free to stay tuned, to play along, to be here. We're going to have games. I'm giving away prizes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this book and where we're coming from. This is my 61st published work, which is pretty exciting. It is the 7th book in the Jonquil Brothers series. If you count book 0, Kiss of a Stranger, this makes 8. It is also the 5th book in the Lancaster series. Chris wants to know if I have a fun dramatic trailer for this book. I don't. One wasn't made, but this can be your fun dramatic trailer. It's me trying to figure out if the Facebook feed is working. That's dramatic, right? So 61st published work. I have known this story and what would happen and where this series was going for 15 years now, and finally got to write the book, finally got to get it out in the world, finally got to make it a reality, which is pretty fantastic. It is the culmination of 2 series. It is a cross section of a 3rd series, and it is the beginning of a 4th series. So this was a complicated book to write. It was a difficult story to tell, but it is out in the world, and I'm excited. I'm exhausted. There's part of me that's a little bit sad because these characters have been part of my life for so long. But I'm glad that it's here, that we made it to the point where we can tell this story. All right, people are letting me know on the comments. I can see that it is working on Facebook. I'm just not seeing your comments until I bring them up here. So, all right. Okay, so I can't see the comments on Facebook. What is a Sarah Eden live stream without issues, right? That's just part of how this works. I also wanted to show you, because I finally got them. I have box sets that I'm going to show off tonight for those of you who haven't been able to see them in person, because I know they haven't been available in most places yet. But this one is the Jonquil Brothers box set. It has books 0 through 7 in it, which is pretty fantastic. It also has this book called the Jonquil Brothers Origins. It's a little booklet that I wrote that tells the history of how this series got started, where the idea came from, how it built. There is also in it a deleted scene from a book, which is so fun. It's like a cutting room floor on page. And there's also in the very end a list of various Easter eggs that I've popped into the different Jonquil Brothers books that reference either other books or other series or other characters. So I put a bunch of those in, and that was so fun to do. The box sets also contain family trees for each of the families. So this is the Jonquil one, and it's so gorgeous. Look at that. It's a tree, and it has all the siblings' names and where their families are as of Charming Artemis. And they made this one in fall colors in drops of gold, right? Isn't that so perfect? All right. Oh, yay. I'm seeing on Facebook that people are excited to see parts of the box set. I'm also going to show you the actual books themselves in the box set are the way we've kind of looked at them is like collector's editions or keepsake editions. There's extras in them so that those who are buying the books again are getting something extra for it. So in addition to the book itself, which is fantastic, at the very beginning, there is artwork in every single one of them depicting the family member that book is about. Isn't that amazing? And these drawings were done by the fantastic Sarah Newell. She's an amazing artist, and she did original artwork for every single book in this series. And it features the main character or the family member that book is about. At the back, there are family trees that depict that family, either the Jonquils or the Lancasters, or in this instance, we actually put in Crispin's family, as they are by the end of that book. It also contains bonus material that I've put into the back of it that I wrote up. In the Jonquils, I talk about the things about each book that was a challenge, that was difficult for me, but then I also write about some of my favorite parts about writing that book. So that's in all of these books. Isn't that so fun? Let's just say I've done a lot of writing in preparation for this because they wanted extra things in it. They wanted it to be something extra special. But I also am going to show you the Lancaster one because I have that too. Isn't that so pretty? The Lancaster Family Romance Collection. Like the Jonquil ones, it has an origins booklet that tells the story of how this series came to be, how I created it and all of that. It has a deleted scene from the series as well. And it also contains tie-ins and connections between these books and other books like in the Jonquil series or other series like that. So that's really, really fun. There's also a fold-out family tree, which is so exciting. Oh, people are saying on Facebook they love my shirt. Thank you. This is my You're a Jonquil, of course she'll think you're an idiot shirt, which is essentially the family's unofficial motto. So this is the Lancaster family tree, and it's also a gorgeous tree, but done in green and spring colors. Isn't that cool? And this box set also has, for the first time, printed on its own, Christmas at Fallstone Castle, which was originally part of All Hearts Come Home for Christmas anthology, but it's in here on its own, which is pretty fantastic. And these also have illustrations in the front by Sarah Newell. That it's the family member from that family who's in that book, which then begs the question, what about Charming Artemis? Because that book is the culmination of both series. And so there is a family member from both families in that book. So what do we do about the illustration in that book? Well, I'll show you, because this was brilliant. This is what happens when you have really smart people working on putting these together and a really talented artist. They can do incredible things. So this one, for its front artwork, is both of them. Isn't that the cutest? And this one also has family trees in them, but Charming Artemis has a family tree for both the Lancasters and the Jonquils, as the families are at the beginning of this book, and that's in the front of this book. So, and in the back, the Jonquil ones had like some of the struggles and the happy parts about writing the books. The Lancaster ones, I highlight the original Greek myth that that book is a retelling of. And then I explain how the two parallel each other, and so how these books retell that myth. So anyway, it was so much fun. It was so fantastic to be able to make these box set editions so special and so fun and so great. So those are those. I was excited that I got them in time to be able to show them to you here, because I haven't had a chance to show them off yet. So someone's asking, do you know how long it might take for Amazon to deliver? I don't know precisely off the top of my head. What I'm hearing is they're hopeful it won't be too long, next week or two, maybe. I don't know. I'm getting some mixed information, but it definitely won't be November. I can tell you that much. Is that reassuring? Probably not. All right. So I'm just popping this up, the feed I have over here that shows me everyone's comments over on Facebook, so I don't miss you guys. So what I thought we would do next is a game, because I love games, and playing games, as anyone who's tuned in for Game Night with Sarah and Eden knows, it's a favorite around here. So the first game I have is one I haven't played before. A couple of the games we're playing tonight I've done at past virtual launch events. This one is brand new. So I'm going to pop it up here on screen, and we are going to play a game I am calling Location Inspiration. Many people know that when I write a book, I keep extensive notebooks about what I'm writing. Here, I lost my notebook over here somewhere. Well, I have notebooks about it. Paul's gonna look for it for me. It has jonquils on it and forget-me-nots. But I put in there pictures that are character inspiration and location inspiration to kind of help me get a feel for what I'm writing about. So what I'm doing here today is popping up pictures of location inspiration that is for a location in my Jonquil or Lancaster series. So what's next to me on my chair? Guys, it's been a long day. And we're at the very first day of the release week. All right, so this is my notebook for Charming Artemis. It has jonquil flowers and forget-me-nots, which are both significant to the jonquil family. So that's what this one is. So I'm going to show you those locations, and I want you guys to try and guess where you think, what you think the location is that is being depicted. There, I'm just trying to figure out how to see these comments because they're missing. Oh, there we go. Okay, guys, this has been an interesting feed so far. So I'm going to pop it up and let you guys guess in the comments, and then I will let you know what the answer is. So here is location inspiration picture 1, and I'll describe them too in case people are watching on a small screen and can't see them very well or would benefit from descriptions of the visuals. So here we go. Here's your first location. It is a castle. This one's gonna be really tough, right? Lots of turrets, lots of tall walls. There are a lot of trees nearby. this is actually a castle in Northumberland, the actual one itself, and some of the Harry Potter movie scenes were filmed at this actual castle, but it has served as inspiration for one of my locations from the very, very beginning. Everyone on, on the feed is able to guess this one pretty easy. Yes, it is in fact Fallstone Castle. So, yay! That was the easy one, right? Okay, let's see what the next one is. See if you can guess. Okay, this is a home made from like a light taupe stone. It has lots of bay type windows. It's very tall and ornate. It sits on very immaculate grounds. It's beautiful without being like ostentatious in the way some buildings are, although it is clearly the home of a very fine and fancy family. All right. So we're going to see if people can guess what this one is. And I'm seeing the guesses on Facebook are a little bit behind. So I'm guessing that the feed over there is a little bit behind where we are on YouTube. Okay, there we go. They're coming up. Okay, everyone's guessing right. This was my inspiration image for Lambton Park. So while I don't, when I use these for inspiration, it's not an exact replica of the place. For example, my Fallstone Castle is in the middle of a planted forest. My castle inspiration isn't in a forest. So there are little things that I tweak, but it kind of gives me the right feel for a place. Yeah, everyone's guessing it's Lambton Park. You're right. Okay, let's see what our next one is. Okay, so this one is a much more humble location, 2 stories. It's a dark stone brick facade. Um, it's well maintained, but it's very, again, humble is a good way to put it. And if you look real closely in the corner, you can see that there is a churchyard. You can tell because there are headstones, and that's where people were buried, is in churchyards. So, okay, we're getting a lot of guesses coming in. We'll see where everyone thinks this one is. All right. Okay, I'm starting to see guesses on this one, and everyone is guessing it right. This is Harold's Vicarage. The vicarage is the home that the local vicar lived in. It was usually located very, very close to the chapel, which is where the churchyard would be located. This actual location in real life is the Bronte Parsonage Museum, which is the parsonage that the Bronte sisters grew up in Yorkshire. And I had a chance to tour it a few years ago. And at that time, I was getting ready to write Holy Harry's book. And stepping into that vicarage, which dates from the right time period, I just had a moment where I thought, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. If you ever have a chance to go tour it, do. It's amazing. But pay special attention to the staircase because it is exactly the staircase that I described in Holy Harry's book. So, yay. So, yeah, you guys got that one. Okay. Let's see. Oops. What our next one is. Yes, it's the Lambton Park Vicarage. All right, here's another one. Now, this one's a little bit different because it's not a house, it's not a building. This one is a garden. It has lots of flowers, lots of vines climbing up pillars. If you look way, 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 way down the end, there's a bench up against that wall back there. Okay, people are already guessing. Oh, you guys got it. All right, someone commented on Facebook, that vicarage is humble. It looks pretty big compared to the houses that that echelon of society tended to live in. It was. If you guys have ever read or watched Sense and Sensibility, and the Dashwood sisters arrive at what's going to be their new home, and they look so horrified by their new humble dwellings, and yet we look at it and go, that looks huge. It's all relative, right? Harold would have grown up at Lambton Park, which we saw right before that, and now he lives at the vicarage. So it is a drastic difference between the two. And if you actually have a chance to tour the house, you'll realize it's small and it's pokey and it's dark and it's not as elaborate as we might think it is. Anyway, so people have done a good job guessing what this garden is. Most people were able to figure it out. It is Persephone's garden at Fallstone Castle. The actual garden that this is a picture of is from Howard Castle in England, but this stretch of it is just what made me think of Persephone's garden. So there you go. Okay. All right, now we have a prize round. I'm gonna do prizes this whole night with our various games. What I will end up doing is I will leave the thing open, let people guess what it is, and then I will come back after the feed is over tonight and pick someone who guessed the answer correctly on this prize round, and they will win our prize. I'm going to show you what our prize is for this round. It is this tote bag. It says, "I am the Duke of Kildare, I am the law," which, Adam does not want for confidence. But that's not all. In the bag will come an Arc of Dreams of Gold by Tracy Hunter Abramson. This one doesn't come out until next year. So this is a big, way ahead of time arc. And an Arc of An Alleged Rogue by Sean Ann Bessie, which comes out in November, which I'm super excited about. As anyone who's read my Gents series, which we've only had one book in that so far, you know that I love the Georgian era, and this series is set in the Georgian era. So that is the fantastic prize that I will give away to someone in the comments who guesses this next location correctly. It's a little bit harder, but I think you guys will be able to get it. Oh, yay. Guys, guess what just showed up? The comments from Facebook. All right. I've been trying to watch it on 2 different machines. This is going to be way easier. Okay, here we go. So here is your next location inspiration image for you to guess where it is. Ooh. So here it is. Stare it down, study it. See if you can figure out what this might be my inspiration image for. For those who, again, could benefit from a little bit of a description, this is a stone, not what we would think of as a cottage, but probably what the British upper class would think of as a cottage at this time. It's a couple stories tall. It has beautiful grounds, but they're a little bit wild. And again, it would be considered a humble cottage at the time, but I'd live there in a heartbeat. So it can't be that humble, right? So I'll let you guys put in guesses. You can put in more than one guess if you want. What I will do is do a search for a random guess that got this correct. I'm going to give you just a minute to think about it. Okay, I'm going to reveal the answer. You ready? This was my inspiration picture for Briar Hill. Briar Hill, you'll remember, is where Julia and Lucas live after they are first married. It is the home that's used by the heir to the Lambton title while the title holder is still living. It's briefly mentioned in The Heart of a Vicar that this is where Harold goes for a little while when he's out kind of trying to figure himself out. He goes and spends some time at Briar Hill. So there you go. That was my inspiration for that one. Yay! You guys, that was fun. Most everyone was able to figure out what they were, which is fun. So that's a little behind the scenes peek. I have pictures like this for basically every significant location that my books take place in. So there you are. All right, so we will have more games to come. So stay tuned. I thought since you saw the location inspiration, you might enjoy seeing my character inspiration pictures for Charlie and Artemis, because I have them in this book. I grabbed pictures that to me have the right kind of look for characters. They're not going to be totally identical, but they help me keep track of what they basically look like, kind of the feel I have for them. So this is the one that I had for Charlie, Jonquil. You can tell his hair is light, but it also has red in it, and he has those blue Jonquil eyes. Looks serious, but there's a little bit of mischief behind that expression. So that one is the one I had for Charlie here in my book. And this is the one I have for Artemis. You can see she has lots and lots and lots of golden curly hair and those green Lancaster eyes. And she's very pretty, which Artemis is always described as very pretty. But yeah, so that's what I have for her. So those are the two pictures that were in my writing notebook the whole time I was working on this book so that I could, kind of get myself into the mindset of who I was writing about. So there you go. Yay, people like my Charlie inspiration picture. I liked it too. It was very inspiring. Okay. So let's see, what do we have next? I have my little cheat sheet here, so I remember what I'm doing. We have the emoji game. Okay, so last year I held the Ultimate Book Club of Book Clubs event for my book, The Gentleman and the Thief. And we got together and we had people tune in with their book clubs and we talked about the book and we played games. And this is one of the games we played, and it was so much fun that I absolutely had to play it again. So the way this works, on my Facebook and my Instagram a few days ago, I asked people to pop onto that post and leave a comment where they describe one of my books using only emojis. And then during this game, I would guess what book was being described. I had these picked out for me so that I wouldn't see them ahead of time. So it's entirely possible I will be stumped and you guys are going to have to help me out. But we're going to play. And I said on that post, I would randomly pick one of the comments to be our prize winning comment, our prize winning puzzle. And so that's on here too. And that person who submitted it is going to win a prize. And the prize they will get is this Jonquil tote bag. It has all the brothers and Mater, and of course Crispin, because he's an honorary brother on there. Isn't that great? And my husband likes to point out whenever people compliment the drawing that I drew this. It's my most artistic endeavor. It'll probably never happen again. Took a lot of time. All right. So in addition to this tote bag, you're also going to win some ARCs that I was able to snatch when I was down at the publisher the last time. One is this one, Brides and Brothers. It actually very recently came out. It's a modern day retelling of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Brilliant, right? I've had a chance to read it. It's amazing. So you will not be disappointed. This is by Annika Walker, who is fantastic. And the other ARC I grabbed, which I'm going to have to force myself to mail to the prize winner because I haven't had a chance to read it and I really want to. It's called The Thief and the Noble, and it's a Regency retelling of Robin Hood, essentially. Doesn't that sound fabulous? It doesn't come out until next February, but it sounds really, really good. So the person whose emoji clues I picked is going to win that prize, and I will get in touch with them to mail it out to them. But for now, we're going to play the emoji game. So play along in the comments. I'm going to try and guess, and if I can't, I'm going to cheat and look at your answers. So don't let me down. All right, here we go. Here's the first one. It is lips, angry face emoji, a groom, a bride, a piano, a cupcake, and a heart. And I think I know which one this is. Okay, so the kiss makes people angry. Yes, it does. Then there's a wedding. Yes, there is. Someone plays the piano better than someone else. Cupcakes are very similar to fairy cakes. And then love, because they fall in love in the end, right? So this one has got to be the kiss of a stranger. Is that what everyone else is guessing? Yeah, okay. Guys, we got it. Okay, let's try the next one. Oh, okay, this is a long one. Okay, so we see a girl and a bird and a boy, then a forward arrow to a woman and a man, then a broken heart emoji, a dog emoji, leaves, branches, that kind of thing, a heart, and another bird. Oh, okay, I know what it is. You have the little girl who's on the terrace, right, at Falstone House in London, and the young man calls her little sparrow. I bet that's what the bird is. Then forward, we move forward, they're grown up now. There's heartache because the dog, remember, I think Daphne's chasing after the dog, and that's when she overhears James admitting that he's faking courting her. Oh. But in the end, it gets mended. They fall in love again, and little sparrow, the sparrow comes back in at the end as well. That's got to be it, right? Romancing Daphne, is that what everyone is saying? Yeah, okay. We got this, guys. We're rocking this game. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, it looks like a groom again, I'm guessing. It looks like it's a dude in a tuxedo. Then heart eyes. Woo! A woman. And then in parentheses, there's a man with a no sign and a boy with a no sign and a young man with a no sign and an old dude with a no sign. Then a couple and some hearts. I'm looking over at Paul. Those of you who have met Paul through game night, he's here in the room and I'm hoping he'll help me cheat. Oh, oh, you guys are so much smarter than I am. Courting Miss Lancaster, right? Because Harry is already in love with her. That's why the hard eyes. But he sets her up, quote unquote, with a bunch of guys that don't work out. So they just chose a bunch of different male emoji looking things. Oh, and in the end, they fall in love. You guys are so good at this. Okay, let's see what the next one is. Okay, a dude, a husband and a wife, or bride and groom, castle, a boat, a scroll, crying, snowflake, a dog or a wolf, maybe, a horse. Oh, bacon. Okay, I know what this one is. It's bad that bacon's the clue that gives it away for me. Bacon is everything, guys. Someone in bed, then dancing, and then they're in love. This has got to be seeking Persephone. Which is probably why the castle is there, right? And the wolves make sense, but the bacon is because the bad guy in the stables made it so that the horse would smell like bacon, so the wolves would get Persephone, right? And then she has to recuperate, and then there's a ball, and they fall in love. Oh, you guys are so clever. Okay, let's see what the next one is. Okay, autumn leaves, a woman and a girl and a man. Autumn leaves, and then no way. And then autumn leaves, and then hearts, and then the couples together, and more hearts, and more autumn leaves. It has to be drops of gold because the autumn leaves encapsulate everything. At first, they're all like, ooh, and then Leighton's like, nah, this can't work. And then they're like, yes, it can. And then they're together, right? Let's see if everyone else, yeah, everyone else guessed the same. Guys, we're killing it on the emoji game. And I would suggest going over to those two posts on Facebook and Instagram, because while I haven't been looking at them so that I could guess these, if they're anything like the ones we've seen tonight and the ones I got for that last book club that I did, they're hilarious. So you have to go see them. Okay, this one looks like a judge and a dancer and a butterfly. Okay, the butterfly tells me it's a fine gentleman because Mariposa, her name means butterfly. Oh, judge because he's a barrister. He's a lawyer. And then the dancer because that's a flamenco dancer, which is from Spain, and she's from Spain. Oh, that was brilliant. Good job. All right, everyone is guessing it way faster than I am. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, a heart, a medal, and it looks like a prosthesis, a prosthetic leg. So it has to be for love or honor, right? Because Margie wrote letters. He was a very highly decorated soldier and he lost his leg in the war and has a prosthesis. So that's gotta be what it is. That was excellent. Good job. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, a groom and a bride, a broken heart, a crying emoji, a man and a Christmas tree and a woman and a what? And then a heart, and then a sick emoji. Oh, I know what this one. Okay, and then there's a woman, a pregnant woman, and then a baby angel, and a heart couple, and letters, and an older woman, and the no sign. Okay, this one is Glimmer of Hope. It has to be because they were married, and then because of heartbreak, they ended up separated. But at Christmas time, a house party is held, which brings them back together again, and they're shocked about it. And they find out that she's ill, that they had lost a baby, that his mother, which I'm sure the older woman emoji is meant to represent, had been hiding her letters from him. Oh, that one was clever. Good job, Caitlin. Okay, let's see. Ooh, this one's long. Okay. So we have snow and a Christmas tree and a castle, which makes me think Christmas at Fellstone Castle. We'll see if I'm right. An angry emoji. Someone's pregnant. Okay, Persephone was in that book. Part Paul says Adam's always angry. So anytime there's an angry emoji, it's probably him. Bunch of families, a sled out in a forest, and then the old people emojis and a kiss and another angry emoji, which is true because Adam got so mad that the vicar was like gonna totally kiss his mom. Oh, and then they're back at the castle, and then a little baby because Hestia is born in that book. And then love, oh, and a wedding ring because they get engaged, and then everyone's happy, and then lots of hearts. Yeah, that's Christmas at Fallstone Castle. Good job. So fun. All right, let's see. I think this is our last page of them. Okay, so we have a kissy face, and then a oh no face, and then tea, and a fairy, and a piece of cake, and a glass of milk. Okay, this one's Kiss of a Stranger. Because, yes, he kisses her, and she's like, oh no, that's basically the entire book right there. But then tea, because they have people over for tea, and they have fairy cakes, which is like fairy cakes, and she puts milk in Miss Bowers' tea because she knows she's lactose intolerant. Paul's face is like, what? So that she'll leave. It sounds horrible when I just say it like that, but in the context of the book, it was brilliant. All right, so here's our prize entry. The person who submitted this emoji clue is going to win our prize for this round. So let's see what it is. Okay. It is a woman and a child in a frying pan. I know which one this is. Then a dude and a bunch of horses, and then fall in love, and they're a couple. The frying pan gives it away every time, as you are. Clara's weapon of choice. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so dirtchild.errn, I believe that is over on Instagram. I will reach out to you to get you your prize for that fantastic emoji clue. Like I said, hop over to that post and read through the rest because I bet they're all hilarious. All right, guys, that was really fun. You guys were better at guessing a lot of these than I was, so thanks for letting me cheat. All right, let's see what else we got on here. I thought it could be fun to read to you from my current work in progress. What do you think? All right. I like how I just pretend that you're here and you all answered both affirmatively and with excitement. Yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. All right, so this is from my work in progress. There are characters in here you will recognize. So this will be fun. It's just an excerpt, a little bit. And I made sure and pick something that didn't have any kind of spoilers or anything, but here you go. A quick knock at the door of Gillian Phelps's bedchamber preceded the entrance of Mrs. Walker, the Aingerby House housekeeper. Begging your pardon, Miss Phelps, Miss Brownlow is requesting that you visit with her before your departure. Gillian slipped out into the corridor. She didn't mind the delay in her journey, and not merely because she was nervous. She adored Mrs. Brownlow. Time spent with her was never a waste. Mrs. Brownlow had known Gillian's mother, and upon hearing of the Phelpses family's reversal of fortunes a few years earlier, the dear woman had extended an invitation for Gillian to come stay with her at Aingerbury House. Father had sent Gillian along to County Durham, but hadn't joined her there. He'd not been part of Gillian's life in more than 6 years. He'd chosen not to be, something Gillian tried very hard not to think about. Mrs. Brownlow had introduced Gillian to the household and any and all of her visitors as the treasured daughter of a cousin. She had treated Gillian very nearly as her own daughter, securing for her 3 London seasons thus far, and had made absolutely certain that, despite the Phelps family's poverty, Gillian never had to look the part of a poor relation. Mrs. Brownlow had been a godsend, and Gillian loved her dearly. She stepped into Mrs. Brownlow's sitting room and crossed to her benefactress. Mrs. Brownlow motioned for her to be seated beside her, something Gillian did with the ease of familiarity. I realize you are leaving in the next few minutes, Mrs. Brownlow said. I wish to offer you a moment to ask any questions you might have. I have attended countless house parties over the years, but this is your first. Gillian nodded. All I know of such things are the stories I've heard either from you or Artemis. Daria has even been to a couple. It is fortunate for you that your first foray into such things will be amongst friends. Your ease among them will make the experience far less difficult. Gillian was grateful. Mrs. Brownlow meant to give her a few words of wisdom and guidance, but she found herself momentarily distracted by the weariness in the lady's eyes. She had on a few occasions since Gillian's arrival been laid low by various ailments. Gillian hoped another was not soon to descend upon her. I suspect you don't realize the guests at a house party are expected to present the staff of the house with money as an acknowledgement of the additional work they are doing, Mrs. Brownlow said. Jillian didn't know that. The cold grip of worry enveloped her heart. She hadn't any extra money. How was she to manage this? I did not tell you in order to worry you, Mrs. Brownlow said. On the table directly beside you is a reticule. Inside, you will find money enough for your obligations to the staff, enough for your journey there, and a little bit extra should the house party choose to make a journey to the nearby village so the ladies can indulge in a spot of shopping on the high street. Gratitude warred with embarrassment inside her. You have already done so much for me over the years. I confess I feel guilty that you are providing me with yet more funds. Mrs. Brownlow squeezed her hand. This is not done out of obligation. You know you are very like family to me, more so in many cases. If Angerby House and its income weren't entailed to the Brownlow family, I would leave the entirety of it to you. Jillian shook her head. You know I don't like to hear you talking about that. I would be so lost without you. You've been a mother and aunt to me these years. Mrs. Brownlow offered one of her soft smiles, a sight Jillian had taken great comfort in since she'd first come to live with the lady. Never fear, dear. I have no expectation of meeting St. Peter anytime soon. I, for one, am exceptionally grateful for that. And I fully anticipate being able to leave this life in a state of peace. Mrs. Brownlow adjusted her shawl, except in the matter of you. Me? Jillian hadn't expected that. I worry that you will be alone. Before you came to live with me, I was very alone, and that is a difficult thing. The Huntresses can be depended upon, Jillian said. So I need to wiggle my eyebrows that it said the Huntresses. With them as my friends, I don't believe I will ever truly be alone, except when I want to be. But even that was not proving true any longer. She liked being alone when away from London. House parties interfered with that preference tremendously. Friends are a wonderful thing, Mrs. Brownlow acknowledged, but I wish you had family. Perhaps a gentleman in your life who cherished you and loved you the way Mr. Brownlow cherished and loved me. Jillian was certain her eyes must have been dancing with merriment. There will be gentlemen at this house party, you know. From what I understand, all of them, other than our host, are single and eligible. Perhaps I will, quite by accident, secure the love of my life while I'm there. Mrs. Brownlow laughed along. Well, now I fully expect you to return home with one. Gentlemen are not like puppies, Jillian said. One cannot merely look over the litter, take her pick, and claim the unwitting creature forever and always. In fact, reality tends to be quite the opposite, with the gentlemen looking over the lot and making their selections. And I don't know any gentlemen who prefer ladies who possess more brains than dowry. The ones worth having do, Mrs. Brownlow said, conviction in her voice. Should I meet an eligible single puppy who takes particular delight in a young lady with no money to her name, who lives as a poor relation in another person's house and is more comfortable with her nose in a book than her feet on a ballroom floor, I solemnly vow to drag him back to Angerby House without delay. See that you do. Mrs. Brownlow placed the reticule in Jillian's hand. And make me one more promise, my dear. Anything, Jillian said. For the next 2 weeks, enjoy yourself. Life is too fleeting to waste the most glorious bits of it. Jillian rose and pressed a kiss to Mrs. Brownlow's cheek, then, offering a smile she knew was a little saucy, said, and above all else, I mustn't forget to bring you back a puppy. So there you go. That's from the one I'm working on right now. Some familiar names in there, I hope. And I'm looking forward to that one. So cross your fingers I can actually finish writing it. Because that's what I'm working on right now. So there you go. Yay. All right. Let's see what I have on here next. Oh, we have another game, which I'm sure you're all deeply excited about. This one is one I also played back at that book club of book clubs. And I play it a lot on cutting room floor. I call it Who Said It, where I will post a quote from someone and you have to try and guess who said it. But this time, instead of picking quotes that didn't make it into the final cut of a book, I'm pulling ones from the actual books in these two series to see if you can remember who said it and where it came from. At the very end of this, the last one on here will be a prize round where, again, like before, I will go through all the comments and pick amongst those who guessed correctly to win our prize. And that prize is this bag, which is the same thing as on my shirt, just in tote bag form. And because I never send out empty bags during this, I guess, it will also come with a I am the Duke of Kildare, I am the law t-shirt. And an arc of Heirs of Falcon Point, which is fantastic. Tracy Hunter Abramson, Sean M. Bessie, Paige Edwards, and A.L. Sowards wrote this one, and it's fabulous. So that is our prize for this one. So pop your knuckles, get ready to start typing away. The first few we'll run through and just see if we can guess them correctly. And then the very last one will be the prize winning round. So here we go. Okay, this quote is, I wouldn't share, and your Uncle Flip would cry because he loves meat pies too. And he wouldn't have any, and I wouldn't even feel sorry for him. It's an obscure quote until you can place it in context, and then you remember, oh yeah. All right, I'm getting a bunch of guesses. Oh, yeah, people remember it. This is Harold, Holy Harry. He is talking to Caroline. They have just grabbed some meat pies that his housekeeper has provided, and he loves meat pies. And he's teasing that he wouldn't share with Philip because it would make Philip cry. And Caroline thinks he's silly, which is exactly what she needs in that moment. Okay, here's our next quote. And this is two people, so you have to figure out who both of them are. He didn't care for the insinuation. My pistols are kept in this room, you know. Do I look worried? Was the flippant response. Let's see. I'm getting nods across the room from Paul. He knows who it is. All right. And it's looking like most of you do too. All right. Yeah, everyone's guessing this one. Or most everyone is. This is Adam and Harry. And this conversation takes place in Seeking Persephone. Harry's giving him a really hard time about what a mess he's making of his marriage that at this point is only about 6 hours old. And Adam is not pleased and Harry doesn't care. So there you go. All right, let's see who this next one is. You wish me to tell her not to expect joy in her life or happy endings. If you wish to ply your daughter with such potent poison, you will need to find another governess. I will not do it. Ooh. Someone who is being very firm. All right, the guesses are pouring in. Yep, you guys figured this one out. This one is Lady Marian Linwood. She has just kind of been not reamed, but Leighton has complained that the stories she's telling Caroline are a little bit too fanciful and a little bit too fairy tale-ish. And Marian's like, I don't care. But it's kind of what Leighton needs in that moment, is someone who's willing to say, this isn't how it should be. So good job, everybody. All right. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's the next one. When was the last time a gentleman at your club slapped his crony on the shoulder and said, perchance, have you met London's newest diamond? Every gentleman in town is clamoring to win her regard because she is so well-spoken and intelligent. If it helps, this was spoken with tremendous sarcasm. Oh, some people are figuring it out. I'm watching your comments fly past. All right. Yeah, a lot of you figured this one out. This one is Daphne Lancaster. She is telling Adam she doesn't want to move forward with her season. She has no expectation of any degree of success. And Adam is basically saying, come on, you're an amazing person. There's no reason you shouldn't be successful. And she's like, have you met society? So there you go. Yep, you remember that one. Okay, this one's our prize round. So I'm not going to give you the answer for a little while. I'll give you a chance to watch and put your guesses up. And anyone who guesses correctly, their name will be put in the hat to win that prize tote that I have put together. So here is your quote. Oh, you need to figure out who said it and what word the speaker is referring to. Okay, here you go. I like that word. I especially like it when it is the right word, and it is often the right word. This one's a little more obscure, but it's one of my favorite moments in the broader universe of these series. So I had to put it up. So I'm gonna give you just a few minutes to figure it out. Well, not minutes, because we got other things to do. Okay. We're getting so many guesses. This is perfect. All right. So here you go. The answer is it was Adam, who at the time was Lord Falstone. He was about 7 years old in the book Forget Me Not. And he was talking about the word ridiculous. He had declared something ridiculous. His nurse, Nurse Robbie, told him he overuses that word and he needs to sometimes use a different one. And Adam's like, no, I like it. And we know from reading Seeking Persephone and Courting Miss Lancaster, he keeps using that word. In fact, Harry refers to it as his most favorite word. That he once referred to St. James's Palace as ridiculous. So Adam, he's so grumpy. I love it. All right. Yeah, so many of you guys guessed that one right. I will go through and pull out those who guessed correctly and put them into a hat. I'll post tomorrow the winners of all these different prizes. There's still one more prize, actually two more prizes to go tonight. But what we're going to do now is open it up for questions, for a Q&A for the next, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. So if you have questions, non-spoilery questions, remember there are a lot of people who haven't had a chance to read this book yet. So no spoilers about Charming Artemis, please, please, please. But any other questions that you might have, now's the time to pop it up. And someone asked going through, how many years apart are Philip and Adam? You guys make me do math in my head. About not quite 9 years, I would say. Like between 8 to 9 years, right in there. Wow, math on a Monday night, guys, you're asking a lot of me. Someone is asking if I cried writing Charming Artemis. Yes, I cried a lot. I cried when I wrote it. I cried when I edited it. I still cry now if I pull up certain scenes and read them. So in part because there are moments in the book that are emotional, but in part because it was an emotional undertaking wrapping up these series and writing this book that's been, in my mind and on my heart for so long. So there's just a lot wrapped up in it all. Okay. Anna wants to know, will any of the books be turned into movies? If you know any Hollywood producers, hook a girl up. As much as I would love that, I don't have the ability to make that happen. So let's see, what else do we got? Kate wants to know, why did you choose Greek mythology for the Lancasters? Was it a personal interest? Yeah, I've always loved Greek mythology. It's been one of my history and Greek mythology are just two things I've always kind of had an obsession about. Like I love them. I find them so intriguing. And so that's kind of what started out with the Lancasters, was just this love of Greek mythology and wanting to kind of reimagine and see where else I could take those stories. So Rebecca wants to know, why do the older brothers still call Harold Holy Harry, even though they said they're going to change his name to Monkey? Old habits die hard. I mean, when you've been calling someone that for 15 years or however long it's been, it takes a while for those changes to be made. So they'll get there, but they're not perfect. Let's see. Where are we? Will you write about characters that were in the books? I think, do you mean like side characters? Like new stories for other, like non-main characters? Yeah, I have ideas for spin-offs that are spinning in my brain. I imagine I'll eventually get to them, but there are so many up there. So many. Let's see. Is Lambton Park a real place? No, it is not. I made it up. It is in I placed it in Nottinghamshire along the banks of the Trent. That is a real place, but the estate itself is something I made up. Let's see. So Leona says, okay, earlier you said that Charming Artemis is part of a new series and a cross section of another series. I'm assuming the new series is the Huntresses, but what series is the cross section? For me, that's the Gents. It is where the Gents and the Jonquil Lancaster kind of meet. We've heard of the story of the Jonquil's parents in the first of the Gents book, and now we're seeing the end of their boys' love stories. So it kind of brings those together in that way. So that's kind of where I think of it as still drawing on what we learn of their parents in that book in Forget Me Not. Okay, let's see. Where are we? When are we getting to know about who Choices of the Heart is about? I am actually, okay, for those of you who are totally lost, I announced, what is it, a week or two ago maybe, that I have another Hope Springs story coming out. But I haven't told you anything about it yet. I am working on the summary that will get put up, and once that's ready to go up on Amazon, I will also post it to my social media. So once I have worked out the best way to tell the summary of that story, kind of a back cover copy type thing, then I will share it out. Let's see. Where are we? Do I have a favorite Jonquil brother? I don't. I like them all. I'm particularly fond of Charlie right now, just because he's the most recent one that I wrote about, but I love them all. They're pretty great, right? Okay, let's see. Do I have a favorite place to visit in England? Of the places I have visited so far, I honestly loved the Bronte Parsonage Museum. I went through it 2 times in 1 day. The docents were like, "You're back?" I'm like, "I love this place. I don't wanna leave." It was really, really neat. The parsonage itself was really fascinating to kind of see how people lived their lives and how these homes operated and how they worked. But the churchyard that surrounds it is one of the spookiest places I've ever been. And then behind the parsonage is just the unending rolling moors. As I stood there, I thought, now I know why these sisters wrote creepy stories, because the whole setting of their lives was creepy. But it was really neat. Of all the places I visited in England, I think that's my favorite so far. Okay. Here's a question. How much of your home decor shows your Regency writing style? Like, do you like that style of decorating, and do you incorporate it into your home? My I don't know if it's necessarily like, I don't have furniture that's in that style, but I do have a lot of items throughout my house that are, I have lots of teapots and teacups. I have books from that time period. I have other, like, I don't want to say artifacts, but little things from that time period. I have a wax stamp from the 1700s. That's a little bit earlier, but that's really mostly what you see. I also, because I do a lot of sewing, I have a dress form in my office because it also acts as my sewing room that is almost always dressed in some kind of historical costume, because that's always what I'm working on. So you can see it there, but I would say the house itself, it just looks like the home of someone who doesn't know how to get rid of stuff. Because there's a lot of things all over the place, but I like it. It's eclectic. All right. Oh, Kim says reading these series makes me want to travel to England. I've often said it would be fun to do a tour of England where I just go and visit the inspiration locations for my books and just pretend like I'm actually visiting the real place, right? Wouldn't that be fun? Um, so someone wants to know, if I were to continue these two families into the next generation, would that make them Victorian? The older of the grandchildren would actually be in what was known as the Romantic era, which was a transitional era between the Regency and the Victorian. But the younger grandchildren, yes, we would drop into the Victorian era to hear their stories. So isn't that fun? And I love the Victorian era. I've written probably almost as many books in the Victorian era as I have in the Regency. So that would be so fun, right? To pull that family in and see where they go. It'd be fantastic. Oh, people are signing up to go on the Sarah Eden tour of places I pretend are other places. That's what I should call it, huh? It would actually be a lot of fun. But could you imagine people like, why are you all here? Because we like to pretend like this is a book in a house, a house in a book that we've read. They'd be like, Americans are so weird. Okay, Emily wants to know, what are you researching right now? I am I've done a lot of research into Victorian era medicine, because that plays into the next Dread Penny Society book. The thing I'm actively researching at the moment was the Women's March on Versailles in the 1780s, um, for undisclosed reasons. And I have been studying architecture of the west coast of the United States in late Victorian, which is very specific. But hopefully, years from now, you will understand why I've been studying that. So, oh, there you go. Okay, so Kate is asking, in Drops of Gold, was there going to be more about the tension between the housekeeper and Marion? We don't see a ton of that, and so the question is, was it cut, or like what happened there? For me, because honestly speaking, once Marion settled into her role as governess and friend to Caroline, and she was getting paid like she was supposed to be, it didn't bother her as much that the housekeeper was being kind of a jerk. And the housekeeper, realizing that she was going to get called out on it if she tried to be that way again, kind of backed off too. So it didn't end up being an issue because of the way Marion's focus shifted. We hear a little bit more about it after she and Leighton have kind of separated again, because Leighton's like, we can't do this. You're a governess and I'm the son of an earl. And in her mind, she's going, yeah, I outrank you, buddy. But he doesn't know that. Then we kind of see a little bit more of that because she's lonely, because she doesn't really fit anywhere. But that was actually also really common for governesses as well. They tended to not really have a place amongst the servants or amongst the family of the house. So it doesn't come out a ton, because once they resolve the issue of her employment, she doesn't have any need to deeply interact with the housekeeper anymore. So there you go. Let's see. Allison is asking, do any of your books cross over in the timeline, or are they all in different universes? I'm guessing you mean things like my Dread Penny Society books. Do they overlap with my Jonquil books? And do my Hope Springs books overlap with my Lancaster books? And they don't. Part of that is because books that are published with different publishers have to be kept separated. That's just the way intellectual property works. And so I have never written them to overlap. So they don't. In my mind, they take place in completely different universes, because they just have to. So let's see. What else? People are wishing I could interweave the Jonquil like next generation into the Dread Penny series. It won't happen. I'm sorry. It can't. They're two different publishers, so those two worlds aren't going to overlap. Lots of people who would go on my tour of places I pretend are other places. Oh, Chris is asking, have I picked out the sandwich biscuit I'm going to make for my bake-off challenge this week? I have, and I'm so excited about it. I'm actually going to bake my cookies probably tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. I'll see how things go. For those of you who don't know what she's talking about, Tracy Hunter Abramson and Sean Ann Bessie and I have started a what we call it is an excuse to procrastinate our writing, but we are watching the Great British Bake Off. Every episode each week gets posted to Netflix, and then we issue a challenge to ourselves to make something on that week's theme, and then at the end of the week someone's crowned star baker based on reader votes. So this week is biscuit week, which is like a crunchy cookie kind of thing. So we're making sandwich biscuits this week. So if you want to play along with that, it's the Fiction Kitchen Trio on Facebook or Instagram. But I'm excited. Last week was rolled cakes. I've never made a rolled cake in my entire life. It didn't go as bad as I was expecting it to. It didn't look great, but it tasted fantastic. It was actually, we had a birthday in our family last week too. So I made the traditional chocolate birthday cake that this person loves, but also served the rolled rainbow cake, and it got rave reviews. So I'm just saying. Okay. Oh, someone says they like my rainbow cake. Good, I'm glad. I thought it was pretty. Like the colors were neat. Let's see. Someone says, any plans for Charlie's friends like Toss, Duke, Fennel? You hear about them in the very first of Charlie's chapters in Charming Artemis. So I guess it's kind of a teeny bit of a spoiler, but not really, because you will see them very, 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 very beginning. And I'm not going to answer that question. That for being terrible. I know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm the worst, guys. At the beginning, you said you knew what Charming Artemis would be about. Before you officially started writing that story, did you write any scenes for it? I didn't write the scenes, but I wrote down in tremendous detail a few of the scenes that I knew were coming in that book. I won't tell you what they are now because I don't want to spoil anything, but there are some that I've known since before I wrote Kiss of a Stranger that those scenes were going to be in Charming Artemis. So, yeah, they've been around for ages. Maria wants to know, when does the audio version of Charming Artemis come out? Any second now. I wish it had gone live today like it was supposed to. Unfortunately, those are buttons that I don't have any power to push. So cross your fingers that those will show up really, really soon. But there will be audio versions. They're just not popping up yet. So Rebecca wants to know, how do you make tea taste good? I tried to like herbal tea, but it mostly turns into honey water. For me, when I talk to people who don't really care for herbal teas but would like to try them, my suggestion is usually to start with a fruity herbal tea as opposed to a, I don't want to say grassy herbal tea, but some of the others taste that way. Um, if you haven't tried glazed lemon loaf herbal tea, that's a good one. It tastes like lemon cake, which is pretty awesome, right? I like passion flower herbal teas or um, apple cinnamon one. So my suggestion is usually to start with things that are fruity because then they remind us more of ciders and it's easier to kind of ease your way into it. It may just be that you don't like herbal tea and that's okay too. But that's where I usually tell people to start with flowery based teas or fruit based teas. Otherwise, yeah, you end up with a lot, a lot of honey in it to make it palatable. Oh, someone's suggesting blackberry. Yeah, blackberry tea is really good too. Christine wants to know, will we ever find out what happened with Miss Haddington in For Elise? I do know what the rest of her story is. It's not one that I've written. It's on my long, 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 long list of things I might eventually get to. But I know what happens with her. That's not helpful for you. All right, let's see. What else I've missed? Oh, whose character did you develop first, Artemis or Charlie? Um, well, both of them kind of happened at the same time. Most of my planning for this series happened as I was writing the first books in these series. And I knew where all of the characters were going. I knew what their eventual stories were going to be. I knew the people they were going to grow into. So it all kind of happened simultaneously. So I don't think one really happened um, before the other. It kind of was both at the same time ish. Oh, Mara wants to know what brand is it. I think she means what brand is the honey lemon loaf. I want to say it's Tazo, probably Tazo. I'd have to go look at it again. If I think of it, I'll post it tomorrow. But it's one of my favorites. They also do a wild ginger orange one. It's really good. Let's see. Oh, Matisse is saying she'd love to see a story of a woman in a wheelchair because she uses a wheelchair, and it seems like it's only the guys who are in them. I'm actually an ambulatory wheelchair user. I use a wheelchair probably about a third of the time. And you're right, you almost never get to see a story of a woman who uses a chair. And especially not one where she's, amazing and powerful and empowered and living her life. Too often it's the character that's meant to be pitied, and I don't enjoy those. So yeah, I should. You're right. I should totally do that. Okay. Oh, is the widower that is interested in Sorrel's sister someone we know from another book? Yes, that's Lord Devereux. He is the main character of Glimmer of Hope, which is also one of my books. So yes, you know him from there. So that's why he sounded familiar. Someone wants to know if I'd ever give a list of all the places that inspired all of the books. Oh, that would be really fun to say this location in my books was inspired by this real life location. That could be real fun, huh? What I need to do is pull a J.K. Rowling and publish a complete guide to the Lancasters and Jonquils where it's location inspirations, character inspirations, all that behind the scenes stuff. That'd be kind of fun, huh? All right. Oh, and Leanne was saying, because we're talking about how great it would be to write a character, a female character with um, some of the same mobility, the things that I deal with, but who is a fantastic and amazing character. And she said she feels like Sorrel kind of fills that role. And you know what? She kind of does. I love Sorrel. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and I said Matisse's name right. Yay! If I ever say your name on here and I say it wrong, please let me know because I would much rather say your name correctly if I don't get it right. So, yay, I'm so glad I did. Oh, people are saying yes, please do the complete guide. That could be a lot of fun. Do characters keep you up at night? I think I'd go crazy with all of them in my head. Paul, do my characters keep me up at night? He goes like this. Yeah, they do. They really, really do. Um, oh, Leslie, yes, I see your comment and I 100% agree. That for being vague for everyone else. No, you're right. Let's see. Are both the O'Connor sisters getting a book or novella? Ooh, that'd be interesting, huh? Tell the story of kind of how they met their husbands and how that came to be. Ooh, that could be really interesting. Add that to my list. All right, I'm going to take maybe one more question, and then I'm going to tell you our last two prizes that I have, and then I'm going to let you guys go for the night. We're after 7 o'clock. So ended up taking a little more than an hour, but we hesitated at the beginning before we could figure out if it was working in both places. Let's see. Oh, so Kim wants to know which characters are keeping you up right now. Well, I'm trying to think if there are ones I can tell you about that won't give anything away. I will tell you this one character that has surprisingly been showing up a lot when I'm trying to do other things is Lord Devereaux, who we just talked about a minute ago with Carter. He has been showing up a lot to have some little discussions with me. So I suspect he's getting ready to either show up in someone's book or keep telling his story. I don't know which it'll be, but he's showing up a lot. So whenever he does, that tells me that, or whenever a character does that, it tells me there's something coming up that involves them. I don't always know what it's going to be. Okay. Let's see if I've got one more. Oh, that's favorite seemed right. I can't tell you that because I probably would answer with one from Charming Artemis. Okay, well, and someone has asked, will I ever write that second generation Jonquil Lancaster series? I would love to. I don't have anything specifically planned at this moment, but it is on my list of things that are on my list of possibilities. How's that? How's that for a kind of a vague way of answering it? All right, so final prizes. I have two big prizes, and the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to go back through the feed and pull one winner off of our YouTube comments and one winner off of our Facebook comments chosen at random. And the two prizes that I have to give away, one person will receive one of the, I guess they're sort of peach colored t-shirts that have the quote from Charming Artemis on them that Sequel has released. I had one out I was going to show you guys. I don't know what I did with it. So that plus a Sequel book gift card, which you could use to buy these books, put toward a box set, whatever you'd like to do. So that's going to go to one person. And the other prize, someone will get a signed copy of Charming Artemis. So I'm going to pull that out and show it off one more time. Right there. Someone will get a signed copy of Charming Artemis. Oh, here. Paul has saved the day. So here you go. Of this t-shirt. My dear, wherever you are, I want to be. Wherever you are, that is where I will be happiest, or will be happy. So there you go. I'll be giving away those. So stay tuned. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a list of everyone who won something during tonight's virtual launch event. Thank you so much for being here, for participating, for being so supportive of these books and this series. It is both an exciting and a tender thing to see it coming to a close. Thank you all for being patient as we've had some delivery and shipping issues. I promise you, behind the scenes, there is franticness trying to get everything addressed as quickly as possible. But thank you so much for that. Thanks for being here tonight. One last thing I want you to keep in mind. The things we have left to celebrate this book. Tomorrow, I'm taking over the Wholesome Romance Facebook page and their Tweak Over Tuesday ongoing thing that they do. So there's gonna be some fun things there. And guys, there is something being announced during Takeover Tuesday tomorrow, so don't miss it. On Wednesday, I'm doing my weekly cutting room floor, which will be Charming Artemis themed. Thursday is game night. Guys, we are having another game night. It is going to be a Jonquil and Lancaster themed Jeopardy game. And as always, there'll be prizes for people who play along in the comments. The fan art contest is ongoing right now. So if you have any kind of artistic inclination, be it crocheting, knitting, cross stitch painting, drawing, sculpture, whatever, and would like to enter that fan art contest, look for the posts on social media. I have a fantastic prize that's going to go along with that. And the winner of that will be announced on Tuesday, October 26th. At the end of this month, during our Ultimate Book Club of Book Clubs, it'll be live streamed just like this was. Get together with your book club, even if it is a book club of one, or you're watching virtually, play along. We're going to get to talk about the book, about the series. I'll have prizes then as well. So it's going to be a fun and busy week. Oh, Leona wants to know if the cutting room floor will be spoiler free. Absolutely. Everything this week will be spoiler free, I promise. And I am in the weeks to come before the book club, I'll have like Music Mondays and Teaser Tuesdays and stuff, and I will keep those spoiler free as well. The book club of book clubs won't be, because we'll be discussing the book. But if you haven't had a chance to read it by then, you can watch back the book club later if you'd like. But I will keep it spoiler free from me until the book club at the end of the month. So there you go. That is it for tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in, for sticking with us while we got through our hiccups early on. I wasn't sure to even be able to do this tonight because Facebook was misbehaving all day. So there you go. Thank you again. As I said, I will post the prize winners tomorrow. Keep watching all this week. We have lots of great stuff going on. And like I said, I will keep it spoiler free. So if you haven't got your book yet, don't be afraid to still tune in and join in the fun. All right. Thanks, everybody.